This is Mazzy, Truesword Paladin. She's built on ritual sacrifice. Here we use auras to sacrifice themselves for crazy broken value. But how good is this deck really? Wait. Am I actually dying? I don't like this. Why does it hurt? Mazzy, Truesword Paladin. For 1 red, green, white, you get a 3/4 legendary creature halfling knight that says whenever an enchanted creature attacks one of your opponents, it gets +2/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. Whenever an aura you control is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, exile it. Until the end of your next turn, you may cast that card. Mazzy allows us to replay our auras that happen to hit the graveyard from the battlefield. This usually is used as like a creature aura insurance so that you can attack in and not feel too bad about losing a creature because the aura is just replayable. But in our case, we're going to use it as a very usable source of infinite casting, much more than initially intended by Richard Garfield himself. While most people see this as insurance for auras, that is not what we see here today. This is more of an enabler. Kind of like how my paycheck is for my Amazon purchases. We're going to recycle the auras in this deck as much as we possibly can to gather as much value from either casting them or doing whatever the sacrifice value is. But we do need to be able to enable them somehow. So how are we going to do that? Well, first we're gonna have to find a way to grow, preferably in an unbridled way. Unbridled growth for 1 green is an enchantment aura that says enchant land. Enchanted land has tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, and you can sacrifice unbridled growth to draw a card. This enchantment embodies essentially everything we want to do within this deck. It's only a single green, so tap whatever land for a green, and then you enchant an untapped land to fix it for whatever color you want. Tap it for a green, sacrifice the enchantment, draw a card. It goes to exile, and that floating green pays to put it on the next land that you have untapped. Tap it for a green, sack it, draw, repeat this process. You will not find yourself having any want for card draw, and every untapped land that you have that you weren't going to use anyway is now just more cards for you. Oh, why aren't you doing this already? You get similar things with the Crackling Club, Kithkin Armor, you get Carapace, you get Briar Shield. Briar Shield? Sacrifice it for +3/+3? It's like a green fire breathing for auras. Hey man, what's up? How you doing? But you want to know why we do it though. I get it. I really do. I am not saying that you're too skeptical. I am saying people have been talking. Well, you can do things like Sigil of the Empty Throne. Sigil of the Empty Throne is an enchantment for 3 white white that says whenever you cast an enchantment spell, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying. Getting a 4/4 with flying for every single time that we sack and cast and sack and cast. If we got something like Unbridled Growth, you pay 1 green to cast it, sacrifice it, you get a 4/4 and a card draw. And then you do it again, and a 4/4 and a card draw, and you do it again. We have other things that can take advantage of us casting our enchantments and get other creatures out of it the same way, just like Valhorn Dread with Herald, Archon of Sun's Grace, we have Johnny's Chosen, we have Shashira the Shattered Blade, each of these making you different types of creatures, but most of which are 2/2s, each of with their own abilities. You can have multiple effects like this on the board at the same time, making a ton of random things. These don't even care if you're enchanting them, or some of them don't even care if you're enchanting a creature. As long as you've done something with these enchantments, you get them. But not every aura we have in this deck, and to be fair, not very many auras actually have a self-sacrificing capability. So we do need to find usually some way to get these auras to sacrifice somehow. So we do have some cards in here to help get that done along the way with things like Gatherer of Graces. Gatherer of Graces is a 1 and a green for a 1/2 creature human druid that says Gatherer of Graces gets +1/+1 for each aura attached to it. You can also sacrifice an aura and regenerate Gatherer of Graces. Sacrificing our good old auras are going to get us a good old regenerate shield on Gatherer of Graces, and whenever we do enchant Gatherer of Graces, if we decide to leave it on there, it gets +1/+1 for each aura attached to it, so super nice. Even if we don't have something attached to Gatherer of Graces, we can still sacrifice just any aura. While swinging in with a regeneration shield kind of leaves us with a very good attack, we can also save it for when we need to make sure that it doesn't die to targeted removal or board wipes or etc., keeping it around for its great value that it has. We do have to worry about Oratog and Thaumatog though. They can sacrifice enchantments just in general, and they will get whatever buff they do get, but I mean, it's still really powerful. They enable one of the strongest and absolutely most busted workarounds to a Magic Cards mechanic that I've ever seen. And I'd love to tell you about it, but after this mid-roll break. Hey, you want to subscribe to my channel? Thank you. I mean, you saw how easy it was for me to make friends, but apparently I didn't expect to get over 1,000 of them within a month. I mean, I think it's now like, what, 1,080? Something like that. These numbers don't mean a lot unless it's with obviously a community, and you guys have vocalized your support over and over again. The common thread is that you guys find me funny and you guys find me likable. And I've even seen people that don't even play Magic that are subscribing because they like my videos. And as much as like subscribing and everything you guys do, I couldn't have this without that. I think my call to action on this one would be, I think you should share it with one of your friends. I think it'll be important, because if people that don't like Magic start to like the Magic content that I'm doing, maybe they'll start to like Magic. Or maybe they'll just like the community, because you guys are very supportive. I can't thank you enough. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the views. Thank you for being there. Thank you for joining the Discord. Thank you for everything. Thank you for making my dream become a reality. Thank you. I'm not crying. You're crying.
We all cried that day. That's probably too close to my mouth.
Welcome back. Wasn't that weird? I totally didn't spray myself with water in the eyes for that bit. I did. So these Atog creatures are coming in and getting rid of our enchantments for free, essentially. And what do we do with it? Well, we get to one of the most underutilized cycles in all of Magic, the ordeal cycles, with things like Ordeal of Heliod. Ordeal of Heliod is 1 and a white for an enchantment aura that says enchant creature. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and then if it has 3 or more +1/+1 counters on it, sacrifice Ordeal of Heliod. When you sacrifice Ordeal of Heliod, you gain 10 life. Well, paying 1 and a white to get a creature to attack in 3 times to get 3 counters and then sacrifice it to gain 10 life is kind of okay. You gotta notice that the 2 lines are separated. So sacrificing the Ordeal of Heliod to any other ability means that it got sacrificed and you gain that 10 life. 10 life. That's 1 and a white to just cast it, sacrifice it, put it back in exile, recast it, sacrifice it, all the while getting those 4/4 angels or the 2/2s. Just getting all that value. 10 life for every, that's 5 life for a mana. Even better, Ordeal of Nylea, that gets you 2 basic lands into the battlefield tapped, which can help you get the colors you're actually going to want to cast more and more of, which if it's mountains, just get 2 mountains. If it's forest, get 2 forests, plains, whatever it is. Basics and tapped. This kind of mana ramp is the best thing. It's a half price already explosive vegetation that you can repeat over and over again. Crazy good value. And don't even get me started on the Ordeal of Pooferos. It sucks. It really does. Even with a cost reducer, it's a red for 3 damage. It's a lightning bolt you could repeat. It's kind of bad. The other 2 are like leagues better, and it's just like, eh. So, Ordeal, you're these 2. Don't worry about Pooferos. He's in there for flavor, honestly. I just wanted to complete the cycle. With these 2, massive amounts of value. You get the crazy good value, and you get everything that you would ever want out of life, minus this thing. But you can still get more of it with other cards, like Setessan Champion. Setessan Champion is 2 and a green for a 1/3 creature human warrior with Constellation, meaning whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you put a +1/+1 counter on Setessan Champion and draw a card. ETB, counter, draw a card. Very good effect. Just makes everything have that Unbridled growth type of effect on it. You also can get Mesa Enchantress, you can Tangle Span Lookout, SRAM, Senior Edifice, or you got Enchantress's Presence or Season of Growth. Each of these will do the thing. It'll draw you the cards. It'll get you a good amount of value that you can just use. I mean, fill your hand again. Even if you discard, it's better to have the things you would rather use. And to use it more, we'll use things like Transcendent Envoy. For 1 and a white, you get a 1/2 enchantment creature, Griffin, the flying that says aura spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Reducing by 1 is a lot. In this deck, almost every single aura you have costs 1 and a color or 2 and a color. So reducing it by 1 means you kinda got half off. Once you get the other ones like Danitha, Hero of Iroas, Jukai Naturalist, Starheim Courser, each of these will do a similar thing where they'll just reduce it by 1, have their own little side effects depending on how you're casting these things. You don't have to worry about really anything, you just pay the color. And so let's get rid of that other obstacle and make it so that we don't have to worry about color at all. Get things like Toxic Green. Toxic Green, for 3 and a green, you get a 2/4 creature Tyrannid with Reach and Death Touch that says all lands have tap, add 1 mana of any color, and they lose all other abilities. Pinging for 1 is nice, but only being able to ever ping for 1 because you only have 1 red mana available to you is kind of a feel bad. So you want to make sure that you have the ability to tap every single land you own for that mana. And I mean, Postal Land just basics, don't worry about it, but you have a lot of basics in it. It's gonna be mostly basics. And then finally, the final category, I'm just gonna say that this one is gonna be set as, I can explain. You might be wondering why I have something like Back to Nature in here. Well, Back to Nature just blows up our enchantments. 1 and a green instant, destroy all enchantments. All of them. So it is a board wipe specifically for enchantments. The instant nature of it means that if somebody's about to farewell your enchantments, because we run a very large amount of enchantments, most people want to get rid of these things, and that doesn't matter what they have to sacrifice because a lot of people don't even run enchantments unless they absolutely have to, or, you know, they have their 1 value thing. So on a board wipe that has those modes that say exile all enchantments, we can't have that happen. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to destroy all of our enchantments, and then they will go hit the grave and then go to exile immediately and stay completely protected. They will stay in exile kind of just the same if we can't recast all of them, but that doesn't matter because we'll be able to recast whatever we really want to keep right away. We also have Rayab Mastersmith. I don't think that's much of a push as to why it's in here. I mean, when you already have a +2 Owen trample buff on each of your creatures, you might as well give them double strike. Oh yeah, I forgot that's in there. We also have Nature's Will. I mean, you get 1 creature in, you have big creature with trample, you're gonna get a creature in, and now you have the part 2 Electric Boogaloo. It's the good part of the Sword of Feast and Famine, the one that untaps all your lane. And then finally, the upgrades. I know a lot of you are like, oh wow, what $40 card is it gonna? Nope, not really. These upgrades are only in the upgrades because I forced myself to have a strict budget. It's more impressive that way. But these are very cheap, good upgrades. Faith Healer for like $5. You get something that can just sacrifice an enchantment and gain you life equal to its CMC. Sigarda's Aid. Flash speed enchantments? You can save everything for the absolute last moment. There are some great combat tricks to get things preventing damage. You can do that at instant speed with this. And while you can get it, I guess if you do want an expensive upgrade, do Chromatic Orrery. And Chromatic Lantern does the same thing for us, but Chromatic Orrery at least can tap for 5 mana, so you can do that. And that's really it. You can check out this whole list in the link below. It's gonna take you to the Mox field and you can criticize it all you want. Also, apology in the last video, I did make a huge mistake. Copying Mr. House's ability doesn't actually do that thing, and I need to say it in this one. You guys do really good at catching me when I make those kinds of mistakes, so keep them coming in the comments below. I do need to know if I do get things wrong so I can be better in the future. Anyway, watch this video, and have a nice day.